I suppose, mental rehearsal and, managing of anxiety and fears and nerves and all of that stuff. How much of a big part of your sport is that? And do you also get help and with Team GB, do you have kind of, psychologists and sports psychologists and things like that work with you as well?
Well, I think personally that the mental side is important, even more important than the physical side. And well, first because like you can be really strong, but if you're at the top of a mogul course and in your head you're doubting yourself, it's very tricky to get it right. And you kind of really do not want that when you're on the top of a course. So yeah, I work with a sports psychologist. So GB have that in their system. So I've been working with her and it's been really interesting but so helpful. Like I've learned a lot about myself and coming back to the injury side, like without a sports psychologist I don't think I would be able to keep mogul skiing. It's just one of them sports where you can't doubt yourself and you have to be 100%. So yeah, coming into visualization a lot massively, and just knowing what works best for you. It's been really interesting to know that I can't be left on my own at the top of a course, because I'm a massive overthinker. So if I'm left on my own, I start doubting and seeing the dangers, and then that's not what I want at the top of the course. Like I want to.
Oh, you've muted somehow, Leonie. Oh, there you go. You're back. Yeah, cool. So yeah, you're just saying, if you're left at the top of the course, you're an overthinker and you'll start kind of thinking and seeing the dangers or overthinking the things.
Yeah. So it's just, I have to like chat to my coach or like visualize my run before I go and stay as calm as possible. But that's not saying that I don't have pressure, but it's managing to have good pressure and not the negative one. So yeah, it's been really good to work on that. And I think it's really important.
Do you do that as well, Kayla? Do you have a similar thing to Leonie? I don't know if you've frozen again, Kayla. Whenever I want to speak to Kayla, she freezes, and then when you're talking, Leonie, she's fine.
Now we've spoke about this in the past because there's a YouTube video with a lady called Leonie Makayla on it, and she talks about how stress, like you've just said, you can have good stress and bad stress, and bad stress will be like the stress that makes you go in on yourself and overthink things and everything, and then good stress is basically the same thing, but you bring it out as excitement or looking forward to the thing. So is that kind of how you were dealing with stuff? You take a situation, so like an injury or something like that, which obviously would knock your confidence, and then you've got to try and think, well, how do you visualize how to come back?
That's a really good question. I think with the sports psychologist I've been working with, it's not to put aside when a bad thought comes to your mind. It's not to kind of block it, and it's to accept it and go through it. And then I don't know, for me personally, when I've been injured, I've obviously had that downtime and feeling really lonely and down and useless. After them first 3 weeks of where you can't do much, to then getting back into the gym, making yourself feel good again, I kind of have like that switch in my mind, where it's just like, oh, come on, you're a competitor, you absolutely love this sport. Like there's no reason for you to quit now. Like you've dedicated your whole life to it. You can still do this and still go for it. I just think like when I look at my injuries, the amount of times I've come back stronger mentally and physically. It's no, like, anyone listening, they can do it as well. Like, you just need to put your mind into a good place where you're like, okay, I can absolutely smash this. This injury was only to make me stronger.
Yep.
And that's huge, isn't it? Even like you say, from breaking your back, you know, multiple collarbones, you know, the knee problems you've had, and then to keep going back to a sport that is as physically demanding and potentially dangerous, you know, that you're doing, is huge. Kayla, can I ask you, while you're there, do you listen when you go down, when you compete and when you're at the Olympics and stuff? Are you listening to music as you actually go down the mogul field?
Yeah, I listen. Like, it helps me calm like my anxiety and my nerves and my thoughts. That I just put earphones in and I sort of create my own bubble, like just listening to my music and like less about everything that's going on around me. So yeah.
Because at the start, when you're waiting at the top, you're kind of dancing, aren't you? You know, like when I saw you at the Olympics, you've kind of, they're introducing you on the TV and you're on the screen and you're kind of, I thought you must be, you know, you're kind of like just dancing and you look like, you know, so I just wondered if you have the music on all the way down as well. And do you have like one song that you always have when you do your run, or do you have a selection of songs, or is there something that puts you in the right kind of state to be, you know, to be right on point sort of thing?
I have got a playlist. It's mainly techno music, so very bass beats, I would say.
Yeah. And do you?
It's not Elton John, but like.
No,
That's what James was listening to the other day, trying to get into the mood for doing heavy pressing, and he's listening to a bit of your song.
Well, that was on in the background, and it didn't help. Yeah. So music. Yeah. So and do you kind of? I know. I suppose it's difficult because the bumps come when the bumps come, and the jumps come when the jumps come. But do you almost choreograph or coordinate with the music as you're going, or is it just going in your head? It's probably too difficult to do that, I suppose.
It's weird because I hear it at the start, and as soon as the person like announces 3, 2, 1, go, I don't hear it anymore. And then the whole way down my run, I can't hear music, and then when I get to the finish line, I can hear it again.
Oh wow! So it's going in your ears the whole time, but you're just kind of zoned out to the music when you're actually doing the run. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I suppose that's a big point, really, isn't it? Because most people go into a lot of things and don't really truly engage with them, and then they wonder why they're not getting the most out of them. You can't really do what you're doing at the pace you're doing it without having that one-track mind, that complete focus, that kind of blinding of other stimulus out. Because so many people are doing they're multitasking, whether it's the social media and this and then that, and they're, you know, you see people in the gym and they're reading a book while trying to squat or whatever it is. And it's like, that doesn't lead to excellence. And I suppose when you're trying to compete at the level you are, you can't really be just concentrating on other things, can you? When you've got quite a serious task at hand, you've got to be completely there.